Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Hammer Podcast. Today is February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Today we have Preston. Preston is the owner of DFW Canine. He's a trainer.
Yeah.
Yes, DFW Canine trainer. I basically title yourself dog behaviorist. If you want to say that, sure.
Way.
Trainer. Okay, sure. And he's going to be here to answer some questions. If anybody has any questions, just put them in the comment section, and we'll do our best to, or shall I say, Preston will do his best to answer them for you. Okay, so Preston,
Yes,
this
sir.
is Silas. Okay,
Hey.
Silas
Dude.
is a Pomeranian Chihuahua. Okay, as you can see in the front there, he's got the Chihuahua face, and of course the tail is it's a curly Pomeranian tail. So Mama was Pomeranian and Daddy was Chihuahua. Okay.
Okay.
So a few questions, especially for this guy, because you know how Chihuahuas are. Chihuahuas can be a pretty aggressive breed, so to speak.
They can be.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's one of my favorite breeds, actually. I love Chihuahuas.
Yeah.
My grandmother had one. My mother had one. So
Okay.
I'm a big Chihuahua fan. But when he was born, even though he was half Pomeranian, it was like he still got my heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
he's a cutie.
yeah. So usually, when I walk him, okay, and of course I just take him a walk around the block every day, so he can do his business, so to speak. And of course he's sniffing around, looking for the urine and the feces. You know what I mean? Sniffing around, and then of course he'll see another dog, and all of a sudden he pops up, his tail comes up, and he starts trying to go towards that dog, and I'm trying to rein him back a little bit. I don't want to pull him too hard, because he's got a harness on, but still, I don't want to pull him too hard. So what is that? Is that just some sort of aggression? He wants to fight?
Is he doing that every time, or
usually
like,
whenever he sees another dog?
So this is all the time.
Yeah,
Like every
basically.
walk,
Unless it's a dog he already knows. If he's been around the dog for a while, he's fine with it. But if it's a new dog that he's just seen, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just kind of looks at it, tail goes up, and he starts reining him in, and he's trying to go. And we're on the concrete, we're on the sidewalk, so he's scratching. And, I don't want anything to happen to his paws.
He's stressed out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's very, very typical of like what my clients deal with. Basically it's dominance. So, and what that means is anytime they're telling anybody what to do, so he's telling the other dogs what to do, and also anytime they're not doing what you tell them to do is dominant. So right then in that moment, obviously he's not doing what you tell him to do, and he's also telling the other dog what to do.
Basically, this is my turf. This is my turf. Back off, basically.
Yeah, it's not necessarily it's my turf, but he's just seeing a threat. And he's just telling the threat, back off, go away, I've got to scare this threat.
Right.
And the reason they think that is because, the reality of it is, I don't care where you live. I mean, all my experiences are in DFW, but this has got to be everywhere. It really is dangerous out there. So the amount of dog attacks that do happen is just crazy. And I'm probably the only one that hears about them, because people aren't going to tell their vet. They're not going to tell the hospital. They're not going to tell their neighbors, because they don't want their dog to get in trouble. So, but they're going to tell me because I'm the one that's going to fix the problem. But the amount that I'm hearing about is I just feel like you're in danger the second you walk out your front door. So that being said, there's a reason that dogs react that way, because they can tell when a dog is not under control by its owner.
Okay.
And that's triggering them to see that threat. Now, if we can't communicate to our dogs that we're capable of being an alpha, which is a protector, it's not a bully. A lot of people think an alpha is, oh, I'll take what I want. I eat first. I'm the biggest and strongest. So that's just a dominant pack member. The alpha will stop that behavior. That's what they're there to dominate that, so that it goes away. So when they're on a walk, because these are pack animals, the alpha is always out front. That's a protector. You got to go through me. You're not going to get to my pack. So when we're walking around and we're not in front of our dogs, we're telling our dogs, they're in charge. So even if you're healing with your dog's nose is going to be in front of your foot. It's a pack animal.
Yeah.
Don't care what species of animal. If it's a pack animal, this is how they travel. So if you have a submissive dog, that's not a problem. You just tell it, hey, back up. It's going to back up. But if you got these dominant dogs, they're out there seeing this threat and they're like, hey, you're weak.
Yep.
Get out of my way while I, let this dog or this person, whatever it is, know, don't mess with me.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's instinct. It's not necessarily their brain. It's just instinct clicks on because it's a threat. So at that moment, for you to get through to your dog can be more difficult. But it's not necessarily about letting them know what you want, because I always tell my clients, your dog is already trained by the time I get there. Meaning that they know what you want, they just don't care. So if you call me over, you're having those kind of issues. Right. It's not typical
Right.
dog training, which is teaching the dog what? Sit, stay, come, roll over, leave it. That's what they charge you for, because they got to have something to charge you for. But for me, what I'm going to charge you for is to stop your dog from barking, biting, jumping, chewing, peeing. I'm one of behaviors. It's all dominance. It all comes from the same place, which is them trying to regulate their environment. So when you're out on a walk, your dog's seeing these threats and he thinks the only reason y'all are alive is because he does that.
Right.
That's what he thinks. Just like
So
the mailman. If they
so
bark
he's
at the
trying to
mailman.
protect me, basically. Is that what you're?
Basically, both of you probably.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just you and him. It's just he feels threatened, and he, barks at these dogs until you take him away or the dog goes away.
Right.
So then, in his mind, yeah, I took care of business.
Now, sometimes Preston, when he's barking at him,
Hmm.
like if they're across the street, he'll bark at him, and then you see his tail wagging. It's almost
Yeah,
like it's just almost like a playful thing. Maybe he's just barking at him to
yeah,
try and signal him.
yeah. And I mean, it's not that they're not kind of excited or interested in it, but what I tell people is, don't forget these are animals that kill for fun. You know what I mean? They can have a
Yeah.
lot of fun chase down a squirrel or a rabbit. So don't think because
Oh,
the dog's
squirrels.
not.
Yes, he loves
Yeah,
squirrels.
so he doesn't have to be stressed out or scared or anxious to go ahead and be violent.
Right.
So that is something to consider. That's something that people go by, but it's not really. So, well, the dog's tail was wagging, and then it just bit my arm open. You know what I mean? And I said, well, it might have been having fun while I did it.
Yeah.
Honestly, because hey, they're playing tug of war, they're doing all kinds of stuff like that. It's fun for them. So um, that is in their minds kind of the same thing. Yeah, when they play tug of war, I always tell my clients, don't play tug of war with your dog, because number one, you're letting his teeth on something that's in your position, so you're showing them I'm not the alpha. Which for my clients is really important that we start establishing ourselves as the alpha, because you have a sensitive dog. It needs to know that the environment is regulated by a strong alpha, or else it's going to try to regulate that environment, and then you get these neurotic, unstable behaviors. So again, it's
Yeah.
way different than a dog who's just like, oh, I'm not getting involved in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. These
I
are dogs that
gotcha.
are like, stop, stop. They're gonna try to take control of the environment.
Now,
Yeah.
what's funny, Preston, is if it's a smaller dog, because when I go around the block, there's a house that's got like three little small. They look like what do they call it? Poodles. Little
Yeah.
white
Like a
poodles.
Maltese.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Kind of a mixed breed. They look poodle though, but
Uh-huh.
and they're barking at him and barking at him from the window. There's three of them, and they're just barking at him, and he just kind of looks at him and just walks away. Doesn't even bother with them.
Yeah.
It's the bigger dogs. We got a boxer on one side. We got German Shepherd, and man, well, I tell you, that's when he gets aggressive.
Yeah.
It's like those bigger dogs, not the smaller ones. The smaller ones don't bother
Yeah.
him any. So,
Yeah, certain dogs they see just different things as a threat. You know, if we're sitting here and a big pit bull comes in, we're going to be a lot more high alert than if a little poodle comes in. But in reality, that poodle could be the one that sends you to the ER. You
right.
know, so
Yeah.
but just the fact that it's bigger. But German shepherds and boxers also can tend to have a nervous energy, and that can set other dogs off, make them not like them.
Yeah. I've seen
Yeah,
some dogs where he's barking at them and the tail goes between their legs and they're kind of slouched down a little bit walking.
yeah.
So it's like,
He's scaring them. Yeah,
yeah, basically. And they're bigger.
yeah,
They're a lot bigger than he is, but I guess
yeah.
the size really doesn't matter. It's just the aggressiveness of the
No,
dog.
no. I mean, because that's
So,
how we control dogs. You know, because the dogs could take a human out easily.
oh yeah,
You know,
definitely.
but we get mental control, not physical control. That's what I'm all about. So we're not using barriers and crates, stuff like that. That typical dog training, people think their dog needs to be crate trained, but you know, for me, I train dogs not to need crates. So if your dog's peeing or chewing your stuff or barking or attacking your other dog, we're gonna get to the root cause of that instead of just try to, you know, put a band-aid on it or lock the dog away or something like that.
Okay.
But but yeah, yeah. So but that's the root cause of all these problems is just the dog feeling threatened. Basically, there's no bad dogs. They don't want to be that way. They think they need to. You know, I've had dogs from the worst situations, dog fighting rings, and
Oh
as soon
yeah.
as you, yeah, as soon as you do this type of training, they're just little sweethearts. You know, they're all like children. They're all pure and innocent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, all right. Another
yeah,
thing. I guess one more thing. We've been before we, if you want to answer a couple more, but
yeah, sure.
uh, anxiety. Do dogs get anxiety?
Yeah, absolutely. And same deal. It's because the environment's not regulated. So I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Very typical dogs bark at mailman, right?
Right.
Or anybody who comes to the door. It can get to the point where they bark at just people walking down the sidewalk. Or if they hear like a jingle, they can start barking. So what happens when the mailman comes up? What the dog is saying, you know, "Rawr, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're thinking it's a threat. The main reason for this is because we're not introducing people to our dogs the right way. The way we do it in the United States is completely wrong and totally disrespectful. So for some dogs, like I said, it's okay, but other dogs, right off the bat, somebody comes in the home, they don't greet the dog appropriately, which is letting them smell. That's how they get their information when they meet each other. They sniff each other's butts to make
Yeah.
sure they're not sick.
Oh,
Yeah,
really? Okay, I
yeah.
didn't know that. I
If
thought
they're
they just.
sick,
Go
they
ahead.
can't come into the pack. Mhm.
Okay.
These are pack animals, so in nature, it's not just one dog meeting another one. This is pack animal. It's a one dog coming to the pack. That's how
Right.
they meet a new individual. He's going to stand there and let every dog smell him. If he doesn't do that, they're going to kill that dog. So they're not going to let some dog they don't know come into their pack any more than you would let somebody you didn't know just walk in your house.
Right.
You know, just be in your house, be like, that's a threat on my life right there. You know, so there's a protocol. You need to announce yourself, get my permission. I'm gonna let you in the house. I can't tell my dog like, hey, this is my friend. I've known him for years. He's really cool, right?
Yeah.
My dog's got to check the vibes of that person and how they do that when you come into their space. You let
Yeah.
them smell. So they don't care about your hand. People think I need to stick my hand out. I don't recommend sticking your hand out to a dog you don't know. They can take your fingers off.
Oh, so they
But
do it so you could smell them, or they could smell you, or something.
yeah, they don't care
Yeah.
about your hand. Maybe if there's food on it, but honestly, they want to smell your legs and your feet because that's where other dogs are. So I'm
Right.
sure when you go around to other dogs, they want to smell your legs and your feet because of him.
Right.
Yeah, because they smell another dog on you. That's what they're interested in. So the appropriate way is to go into someone's house and just let the dog smell. And what we tend to do is number one, we let them jump on us, which is dominance, and then we probably reward that. Hey, buddy, hi, hey,
Yeah.
right? And what they're telling us is, you're in my space, you're in my space. Because again, they don't think we're going to greet them appropriately. So they're going to let us know as soon as you come in the door, like, I'm dominant, you're in my space. So, number one, we're not correcting that. We're probably rewarding that, which is the main problem is rewarding dogs for telling us what to do, which is we think it's so cute when dogs tell us what to do. And it is until you can't get them to stop.
Hmm.
Once you can't get them to stop, that's when you got problems and you need to call me. But So now, if the dog is respectful and comes up and tries to smell the person, what do? They lean down and, hey, buddy, hi, hey. We think that's the polite thing to do in the United States, right? We think that's how we're supposed to greet dog. But
Right.
again, they're concentrating on the smells. They want to know who we are before we're up in their space. And if you do that, it's like really rude. It'd be like if
Okay.
you married, you have a wife. Do you have a wife or you
Yes.
live alone? Okay,
I'm
so
married.
like if your wife was like, "Hey, my cousin, that you've never met is coming over." So he comes to the house and you're like, "Hey, nice to meet you," and he just burps in your face. Bleh.
Ah.
And then goes starts chugging your milk and jumping on your sofa, and you'd be like, "Oh, who did you bring in
Right.
my house? This is totally disrespectful." And you'd be yelling at him. And you get to the point where anybody who comes to your door, you probably start yelling at them like, "Hey, before you come in here," you know what I mean? If your wife was constantly letting people come in like that. So that's what's happening with these dogs. That's what takes them a long time to calm down when people come in the house. And that's why they start just barking at whoever. So, what we got to let our dogs know, because again, they're barking at the mailman. Get out of here, get out of here. Mailman leaves. Now, dog's thinking, oh, I scared him off,
Yeah.
right? Whew, we can relax. Don't worry, I took care of it. Comes back the next day. Oh my God, you're here again. Rah, 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 rah. So he leaves. So again, in the dog's mind, the only reason y'all are still alive is because they do that. So same thing when your dog's out there on a walk. You're walking by the boxer and the German Shepherd. He thinks he's got to do that. So with the little dog's barking, he knows he doesn't have to do that, right? So that's why
Right.
he just doesn't pay any attention. And so what we do is we just teach him you don't need to do that to the German Shepherd or the boxer either. And then just walking by and he gets a new memory of like, oh, everything was cool and I didn't have to dominate anybody, and we start letting them know, hey, now I'm in charge. I'm the protector. Nothing's going to get to you. There's a bubble around you. You can't get out and nothing else can get in. And that calms the dog down and makes him think, okay, I don't have to do this or do that. One tip I can give you, and I give this out randomly because I'll have people's dogs that are lunging, um, is that when your dog's pulling on a leash, trying to get at another dog or another person or something like that, most people are behind their dog pulling on the leash, right? So if you're behind, they're thinking like you're afraid. At the very least, they're stuck to you. And so now they're feeling trapped, right?
Right.
And they're face to face, whatever, they're facing the threat. So all that is just added stress, right? Um, and in their mind, they're like, oh man, I'm stuck to this weak, submissive pack member, because my clients usually are doing what their dogs tell them to do all day long. So when they turn around and
Okay.
try to tell their dog what to do, the dog is just like, leave me alone. I got to handle this business out here. So what we do is I have people get in front of their dog, get in between whatever it is they're going at, face him and push him back, push him with your body. And so what that does is that puts their mind on you, right? Because they're not staring at whatever it is now. And then you're in between, and now you're pushing back, showing them you're strong. You're strong, and you're creating distance, and that calms the dog down.
Okay.
Yeah. And I
Oh.
mean, because I had some woman in PetSmart the other day, the meanest looking pit bull. I couldn't believe she brought this thing into the store and was just walking around the store. And I'm like trying to avoid her with my dogs, and it's just rah, 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 like spazzing out. So like she could barely hold on to it. I just peeked my head around the aisle, was like, ma'am, I can help you with that. And I just, had her do that real quick and the dog calmed down. But I was just like, in general, if you're going to take, especially a dog like that,
Yeah.
obviously pit bull, you want to not have it doing that when you're going out in public. Yeah.
Especially in PetSmart, my dog walks in there and it's like a smorgasbord of smells. He's just all over the
Yeah.
place. He smells everything.
I always recommend once a week, at least if you can, go to PetSmart, Petco, pet friendly store for your dogs to just smell and just let them do their thing. When I get to the aisle, I'll get back in front of my dog because I don't want a big sheepadoodle, boom, getting nose to
Yeah.
nose with my dogs. There's tons of fights in those places. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the reality of it is, like I said, it's super dangerous out there wherever you go. I mean, these are giant, strong animals with knives in their face and the brains of 3-year-olds. So that's what our dogs know, right? And they're stressed out because the owners are out there nonchalant, you know what I mean? And just out there having a good time with the fur babies, going to the dog park and the boarding facility and all these places that are not controlled and just freaking the dogs out, causing all kinds of these behaviors. Um,
Yeah.
that's just one little part of it, but it's part of our
Yeah.
society. The reason I say that is because, like, my sister lives in France. My stepdad and his mom are from Belgium. They're over here now in Paris. Everybody eats outside. They all have dogs, and they're like perfectly behaved. Because over there in Europe, if you go to somebody's house and a dog jumps on you, it's unacceptable.
Mm.
They're gonna like have a meeting about you and your dog. Because over there's kids and dogs seen and not heard. So I want to be a little bit in the middle. I don't want to be so rigid, but over here it's just like, isn't that interesting? Look what my dog's doing. Like I'm supposed to learn from my dog.
All right.
You know, look, just let them work it out. I just thought they would work out who's the alpha. I'm like, yeah, because one will be dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Their teeth are
yeah,
pretty sharp. So, yeah, even the smaller dogs,
yes,
boy, they're
yeah. I
sharp.
mean, I get clients with 3 week old puppies, 3 week old puppies that are doing like major damage already. Man, they
Wow.
can come out being like that. Yeah. So with what I do, and being a behaviorist is just a type of a trainer.
Sure.
Yes, I'm a dog trainer, but there's all kinds of different trainers. There's agility course trainers, service dog trainers, police trainers. Um, but what I specialize is just the behavioral aspect, just the unwanted behaviors.
Right.
But
Okay.
yeah, and I have clients that are dog trainers. I currently have clients that are dog trainers. Um, just because, like I said, what I do, I see the most extreme dogs that most other people are avoiding, right? So most of the time, everybody else in the dog world is trying to avoid these certain really, really difficult dogs. They don't really work with them. They get pushed to the side. Who knows what happens to them? But for me, those are all the ones that I see the most of. So it's a
Right.
totally different, way of looking at things because people think, well, most dogs are like this or most dogs are like that. But if you ask me, most dogs are, this way, not that way, right?
Right.
Because
Hmm.
people will say, um, most German shepherds are really good house pets. That's something somebody said. But if you ask me, I'd be like, that's one of the last dogs I would ever recommend.
This.
Now, at the same time, for a house pet, yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm seeing the worst ones, you know, constantly. I thought like more than half of my clients are German shepherds, and they've all bitten people or animals. I've had like two that haven't. Um, so, my idea that might be kind of skewed as well. But at the end of the day, for what I do, you cannot go by breed at all because I've seen exceptions to every rule,
Right.
and it would exclude people's dogs if I assumed it was going to be this way.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen pit bulls that are really timid and calm, and then I've seen pit
When
bulls that are just aggressive and mean and
when it comes to my training, pit bulls are like the easiest to train.
really.
Yeah, as soon as you let them know like who you are, they accept it and they're chill.
Okay.
The opposite would be more like a German Shepherd or a Malinois or a high strung dog like a boxer or something like that. And again, not all of those dogs are like that. Probably most of them aren't like that. But take the worst ones out of the litter, and you're not even talking about well bred dogs, even purebred, but not necessarily temperament tested dogs. Take the worst ones out of all that. That's the ones I'm seeing. But so again, I don't ever want people to go by breed and think I'm getting this breed. It's going to be like this.
Right.
Get to know the dog first. I mean, ideally, you can observe it with a pack and kind of see where it fits in that pack. For me as a house pet, I would want a confident but not dominant dog. You know what I mean? I want
Yeah.
a dog that is social, friendly, happy, but at the same time is gonna like chill out and respect others' wishes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause I noticed in a lot of like apartment complexes that people rent out or houses that are rented out. If they accept dogs, they basically will tell you, we accept the smaller dogs. We don't want the bigger dogs."
hmm
You know.
Yeah, and I have
So
clients who live in apartments with no breed restrictions.
Well, yeah,
So
not all of them, but I'm saying
yeah.
some apartment. I mean, where I'm at,
Oh yeah,
they
most of them do are like that. And but when I do have clients, like I have a couple clients at these one apartments downtown, and there's no breed restrictions, so all the big pit bulls are like in this one are in this one apartment, and I'll be there picking up other clients as I'm training dogs because they all have to go to these one apartments. It's kind of a bummer, but I mean,
yeah,
because people are racist against the dogs. Because, like I said, with pit bulls, they're the easiest when it comes to this training, and it's just a big misconception that they're more dangerous than other dogs because it's just because they're muscular. A
yeah,
boxer's jaw is super strong, and if that thing grabs you, you know what I mean,
right.
or a mastiff, even bigger. It's just there's so many pit bulls out there that's what we hear the most, and it's newsworthy headlines.
They have a stigma. Yeah, the stigma is
Yeah,
pit bulls bad. You know what I mean? Mean.
yeah.
And
But
that's
I
what the
tell you,
media that's what the media
yeah,
tells you. They show
I've
you all
heard
the
some.
stories, you know,
Yeah, that's what
selected, I'm
sells.
sure. Yeah,
That's
that's
what
what that.
sells because it's a hot topic, and it's they're trying to get attention. Um, but it's not reality at all. I mean,
Right.
there's a rescue I worked at, and they had a no pit bull policy, and I just thought that was the craziest thing.
Yeah.
There's like tons of huge mastiffs everywhere that were super dominant. And I'm like, man, those things are twice the size of a pit bull. And it's not any different. It's not a different animal. You know what I mean?
And it all depends on your preference. I mean, I'm not a big dog kind
Yeah.
of guy. I like the smaller breed dogs. That's just
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Some people prefer the gigantic. What
Yeah.
they call Weimaraners or something is what they're called. Those big old dogs and
Like Great Danes and
yes, Great Danes and
yeah, those are mastiffs too. Yeah.
yeah, gigantic.
Huge dogs. Yeah. I mean, I like them all. I like all animals. Um, and like I said, I see exceptions to every rule when it comes to personality. So I don't have any preference, honestly. I
Right.
mean, my dog is an English Bull Terrier, and they're nuts. Anybody that's had an English Bull Terrier, they're gonna tell you like, man, it's a lot more work, but I love her to death. Like I'm always gonna have to have one because it's so much fun. It's a lot of work, but to me, it's worth it.
Right.
That's why you don't see those hardly anywhere. The target dogs, yeah, they're
English.
hard to manage. Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're like I said, if that's your breed, that's your breed. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
All
but
right.
yeah, no, what I do is it's fun. I love it, man. It's a dream job for sure. When I met my wife, she had three crazy dogs, and I was at first I was like, "This is so much fun. Dogs everywhere, all over the sofa and the bed and everything." And then the more time we spent together, and I started taking him to the vet and walking him, I was like, "Whoa, like I can't. This is too
Mm.
much." I was like, watching Caesar Milan, trying to figure out what to do. Of course, that didn't work. Um, Hired a couple trainers like with my mom's neighbor and her dogs too, and it was just so goofy and the stuff they were having us do like um they were having us like they wanted to do all positive training, so it's just all treats, but you have to starve your dog, and training's like 8:30 at night. They don't want you to feed at breakfast or dinner,
Mm.
so it'll come in and be really really hungry, and it doesn't work. If your dog's stressed out, it's not going to eat. I don't care if it hasn't eaten for 3 days. You know what I mean? But I just realized like I'm gonna have to teach myself how to do this, and so I got jobs at boarding facilities. And after a couple of years of just working with tons of dogs, was just like hearing people with these problems in their house and just be like, man, I can come fix that for you. It's like I'm in this area with all these dogs where I have to regulate every day, all day,
Mm.
tons of different dogs, and like it has to work. I don't have the luxury of doing goofy stuff that doesn't work because it's life or death.
Right.
Um, and then I would hear about people adopting their dogs out and euthanizing them because they bit in a cat or killed another dog, bitten a person. And I'd be like, I know it's not that dog. I've worked with that dog. It's the people. No one's going into these people's houses and telling them, like, this is what you need to do. Because it's all
Right.
about, come get your fur baby. Come get your little baby. They want you emotional so you'll come, keep going and donating and all this and all that. But the reality of it is some of these dogs are going to take a structured environment. to say the least. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once you get set the foundation, then we have tons of fun and tons of affection and every day and the dogs chill. But when this thing comes in your house, I mean, some of these dogs, any dog really, like I said, they could turn violent. Even if it's the sweetest dog, you bring another dog into that mix or even a cat, and that thing starts creating chaos. It influences the whole pack.
Yeah.
You know what I
Especially the
mean?
cat.
So
Yes.
yeah, I've had a client that they were going to put their dog to sleep because they'd rescued it and it bit their 9-year-old daughter in the face. It was a pit bull, at least a pit bull mix. And the rescue called me and was like, "Well, we just can't have this dog out there, you know." And I said, "You know, don't worry, take care of it." So as soon as I go in there, cat jumps on me, wow, you know, and I'm like, "Whoa!" Like as soon as I walk in the door, so I sit down, jumps on my watch again, you know. I'm like, "Pop, get off me!" Give it a little whack, get off.
Yeah.
So it chilled out, but um, immediately in the door, I was like, "Is your cat always doing this?" Oh yeah, always. It's always jumping here. It's always jumping there. It's grabbing this. It's grabbing that. You know, and the dog was actually like freaked out by the cat. You know, so it's just creating a whole environment of fear and tension, and the dog's thinking things are not regulated. And it's basically these are animals. So if you have your environment like a jungle, is going to bring the wildness out of them. You know, so little
Right.
girl is cutting pumpkin for Halloween on the floor next to the dog, and the cat runs by, whew, and then the little girl reaches over something, and the dog just bit the girl in the face. And I have tons of stories like that. I mean, and the kids are always more worried about what's going to happen to the dog than what's going to happen to themselves.
To them. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not like scared of their dogs or anything like that. And they could have bandaged up arms. Sometimes people don't even want to show me the injuries, and I'm like, you need to show me. Like, I'm not the one who's gonna, you know, I'm the one's gonna help you. Like, you've got to show
Right.
me, and because it's just so gnarly, some of the stuff that happens. But it's definitely fixable. It's more of a lifestyle change than anything. Um, and you know, that's what keeps it from coming back. It's mostly owner training. What I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you train, send
So,
your dog away to board and train or something like that. They're just going to teach it what, you know. Like I tell my clients, your dog already knows what. It's already trained, right?
yeah.
It just doesn't care. It's you've got to become a factor. As soon as you are, it's going to do all this stuff because it already knows it's supposed to do it. Yeah,
All right. So, what you have a website, of course, right?
yeah. It's DFW like Dallas Fort Worth
Yep.
K9 the letter K the number 9 trainer.com.
Okay. We'll put that in the description below for everybody who wants to go to that.
Cool.
Um, so I guess we can. I guess you said you had other stories. We could save that for another part if you'd like.
I mean, yeah, like I
Yeah.
said, I've never done this before, and now that I'm
So,
doing it, I realize I could probably go for 100 hours. But and I haven't
well,
worked in the past couple days from the snow, so like
yeah.
once I get talking, I want to keep talking. But
All right.
there's tons of stuff I could say.
Yeah.
But since Corona, I think more people are getting dogs, and then they're just trying to DIY it because they're watching YouTube videos and
And
books and
plus,
stuff.
I'm sure plus the money's tight. You know what I mean? Is they think maybe a trainer might be too expensive
Yeah,
for them or
and
something
some of
like
them
that.
are. Some of them are. I mean, I get people coming to me all the time say they just spent 3 grand
Oh,
on board and train for a couple weeks, and then within 24 hours they need my help. You know, I come over in 1 hour and I fix the problem for $300, which is cheap for
yeah,
what you're getting.
that is cheap.
Uh, I've only been doing it for 4 years, and you know, I'm gonna have to jack my prices up because my competition is way more expensive than me, and but they don't do a better job. Like I'm getting all their clients afterwards. So but there's no blueprint for this. Like it's crazy. There's no one that can tell me how to do it because nobody does
Right.
it like how I do it.
There's no one size fits all. It's basically it depends
All
on the
other
individual dogs.
right. All other training is like that. All other training is one size fits all. Like all other training. I've tried to mentor under so-called behaviorists. Like I said, anybody can call themselves a behaviorist. Anybody who uses a prong collar is probably going to call themselves a behaviorist. Uh, the other ones are going to be like all positive trainers. don't ever yell at your dog. Don't say no. But then they want to lock the dog in a cage and starve it all day. So,
Yeah.
but but yeah, there's a lot of factors. I mean, I think people don't think it's going to work for their dog. They think their dog is the exception, and most of the training is not super great if you have a dominant dog. So I think they're real skeptical. Even I have tons of before and after videos and testimonials, but I don't know. I do get a lot of clients. Man. I see like sometimes 13 clients a week,
Wow.
and sometimes like new clients. I'm only doing 1 or 2 sessions, so I have to get tons of clients. And I'm not booked out super far because I get done so fast.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, hopefully we can help you with that. Put your name and your website out there for the people on YouTube.
yeah,
They'll see
yeah,
it, so that way go to your website and I guess either
yeah,
get some help from you or buy your products or whatever. So that way
yeah,
help you
man.
out just a little bit. But yeah, we definitely
Yeah, I
want to have a
appreciate
part.
it.
We definitely want to have a part two. Because I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure we're going to have the comments section's probably going to be just filled with all kinds of questions. So
Yeah,
and just
yeah, yeah.
and
Cool,
if you
man.
have other stories or whatever, you can kind of tell us
I
too.
got so many stories. I mean, because I see nothing but craziness all day, every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, good stuff.
It's crazy. Like we're fixing these problems, but it's just like when you hear it, it's just. I mean, like I said, I hear the craziest stories. I hear the dog park stories every day. It's not
Oh,
just dogs fighting; it's people fighting.
right. That's why
You
I
know what I
don't take
mean?
my dog to the dog park because, like you said, it's just basically a free for all. And some people
Yeah,
have their dogs off the leash.
yeah.
And of course, my dog. I went to the dog park one time, and that was the last time because he
It's
would
smart.
not stop barking. He would not
Yeah.
stop trying to, growl and
Yeah, it's
try to
it's
do other
it's such an
dogs.
unregulated environment. It'd be like if your mom, when you were a kid, took you to like Southside Chicago and dropped you off at a playground and was like, "Have fun."
Yeah,
You'd be like, "This is not a
this is
safe environment."
right.
And
Yeah,
well, the main analogy that I give people is, if you go to eat at a restaurant and there's a police officer sitting next to you, you're gonna feel pretty safe. You're gonna be like, "Hey, nobody's gonna do anything." There's a cop sitting right next to me, full
right.
uniform and everything. Next thing you know, somebody gets up and starts getting in a fight. You look over at the cop like, "Hey, man, you gotta take care of that." And he's like, "Yeah, let me finish my dessert." And you're like, hold on a second." Then somebody gets up and stabs somebody.
Oh,
And you're like, "Oh, man." And you look at the cop like, "Hey, you're going to do something." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm on the phone."
mm,
And now you're going to be like, "Oh, man." And now it's starting to get chaotic. What are you going to do? You're going to grab your steak knife and you're going
yeah.
to be like, "Oh, crap, man. Any one of y'all come near me,
Your stress and anxiety go
you
up.
automatically
Yeah,
flipped into this mindset of everyone's a threat.
fight
And
or
anyone who
flight.
comes, because no one's
Yeah,
going to protect me. So I got to do this. So if you, I don't know who you are.
yeah,
And I'll let you know, don't come up here. So the second a good cop comes in, he's going to stop the crime. The second it happens, then everybody relaxes because, like, I don't have to protect myself. So that's all there is to it. Okay, mostly physically,
yeah,
not with sound, not with sound. It's mostly, so when they do this, it's dominance. You ever a dog lean on you from the side really hard?
yep,
What happens if you move over? You just keep
yep.
coming. So we tend to tell ourselves, "Oh, he loves me." We like the attention. It's just dominance. They're just telling you I'm in charge because you feel that pressure. You're like, "Man, that really pushed me hard." So we got how what we communicate when they communicate is what's important. So my dog's doing that. I don't pull away. I always push because that's how they communicate. Pushing is dominant. That's why you go to a dog park. The dogs are always doing this,
Yeah.
pushing each other because they're trying to figure out who's in charge, who's in charge, who's in charge, and then you get fights. But yeah, so the main thing is, dude, don't let your dog tell you what to do. Don't reward your dog for telling you what to do. So if he comes up to you, he whines at you or this to pet him or give him a treat or take him outside or anything, you can't do it. You really need to give him a correction. Stop doing that. And don't back up afterwards because you back away, it shows you're weak, and it's also how they trigger each other's prey drive. So they dominate by pushing. They're not going to do that and then back up. So that's what you just want to show him is now I'm to be respected and I can be authority. So when we go out there on the walk, he's looking at you more of a strong pack leader that can take care of business.
Okay.
Yeah. So he doesn't feel like I got to do it.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Preston, for
You're
being
welcome.
on. Like I said, we have to bring you back on again 'cause that was very interesting. And like I said, there's probably going to be
Yeah.
more
I,
people.
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yes, that's great.
Cool.
Stay on the line. We'll end the
Will
podcast real
do.
quick. I want to thank Preston for coming on Hammer Podcast, and for everybody, if you have questions, leave them in the comment section. We'll take a look at them, and maybe in the next part we'll be able to answer a few of them. So,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
all right. So for the Hammer Podcast, I'm Jason. Take care of yourself. All
All
right.
right. Take care.
Okay. Yeah.
Thanks.
Oh, and by the way, we're going to put his website in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel, just subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you next time. Okay? All right.
See you next time.